There are just under 1,200 firefighters on scene, and there were aerial assets here earlier, but due to darkness and the poor visibility, at this point there are no aircraft fighting this fire from above. You do, though, still have ground crews who are trying everything they can from the ground to get some control over this fire that has now burned for almost 10 days. It started on September 6th, which was Sunday, around noon, the cause of which is still unclear, and it has continued to grow every day since, and it is threatening some communities. There is about 300 homes that are under mandatory evacuation in the cities of Arcadia and Sierra Madre. That's going to be just off of Santa Anita Avenue and a smaller street. Let me get it for you. I believe the street is Elkins. That's it, Elkins Avenue with the cross of Santa Anita. The homes that are around that area are under mandatory evacuation, but we also have an evacuation warning, which means that those residents don't have to leave yet, but they have to be prepared to go. They have to have their cars all packed up and everything necessary for when the time comes, if it comes for them to evacuate. And those are the areas of Monrovia, Bradbury, Sierra Madre, Altadena, Duarte, and Pasadena. We're currently over Monrovia. We're looking at the Monrovia Canyon. You should be able to see it there on the map with us. Now, this is an area that we were looking at earlier today during the NBC4 News at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock because the fire was getting so close to some of the homes. Now that we have returned for the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock coming up, I can tell you that the fire is getting even closer. And I'm going to go ahead and use a tool that we have up here in News Chopper 4 Alpha that allows us to measure the distance to some of the nearest homes. So I know that there's homes here right off of these streets right there between Canyon and Oakley Drive. I know there's homes because I was looking at a satellite image of the area. And so now what at one point was a distance in miles, and earlier we were looking at about a third of a mile, now we're down to just several hundred feet. So if you live in this area, of course, it can be very concerning to see all these flames out your window from your home. But at this point, those areas are still under an evacuation warning and are not being asked to leave at this time. But of course, be ready to go if that time comes. And let me quickly talk to you guys about the Mount Wilson Observatory. We can't see it from our present location, but I can tell you what we've heard from fire officials about the firefight there today. I can tell you that the Mount Wilson Observatory on its own has great brush clearance, and they also have a 530,000 gallon reservoir up there, as well as 33 fire hydrants. And just outside of the facility, there is a 270,000 gallon tank that belongs to the Forest Service, I believe. So there's plenty of water up there, and they've worked to clear the roads, clear the brush the best they can in an effort to protect those very important communication towers that are up there that basically allow us in the television and radio industry to communicate in the LA basin. There's also some government towers up there, and then there's also a telescope that has been up there since the early 1900s when the observatory opened. Now that all being said, it's a very important facility. A great effort was made to protect it today. And back in 2009, the station fire threatened it as well. So firefighters were able to save it then, and at this point they've been able to save it now. There was an aggressive aerial assault over that area today, and they got bulldozers up there. They're securing the dozer line that is up there. They have camp crews up there trying to protect the exterior of the facility as well. And at this point, I can tell you that even though the fire got to within 500 feet of the Mount Wilson Observatory and those very important communication towers, at this point it is still standing and it has not been damaged by this fire. Correct, yeah. And once again, thank you to all of you who are joining us online. Just to recap some of the important numbers, just short of 42,000 acres is where we stand now. The exact number is about 41,773 with a 3% containment. Now, if you think back just a couple days ago, that number was actually 6%. And so that means that we've lost containment numbers, and that is due to the fact that the number of acreage has grown so much. And that containment, that 6% containment was along the eastern edge of the fire, which tends to be the best behaved. It has seen the least amount of growth, and that is actually the edge that borders, pardon the skid there. That's the edge that borders the burn scar from the ranch fire too. So whenever you have a fire butt up against a previous fire, it usually will die at that point. It acts as a fire break. And so that's what we're seeing on the eastern border of the fire. But we're still seeing a lot of activity on the north and the south. This is essentially the south end. And the reason why this end is so concerning is because of the proximity to homes. And then on the north end, the northwestern end, is where we have the Mount Wilson Observatory. So that is also a key point and an area that the firefighters definitely want to protect. But you see this flare-up happening here. Again, this is going to be the Monrovia Canyon, where there's homes nearby, less than a mile away, less than a quarter mile away at this point. We're measuring it, and it's down to a couple hundred feet with our measuring tool in Use Chopper 4 Alpha. So you can see there that we're down to hundreds of feet now, whereas earlier we were measuring the distance in miles. And there are homes in that area. I know it's difficult to see because of the darkness, but I do have another tool that I can use. And this is kind of like the satellite imagery. Now the homes are going to look a little bit flat because we're not right over them. If we were over them, it would look like a perfect satellite image. But since we're shooting them from a ways away, they're going to look a little flat. But you can see that those are in fact homes, and that's the area that I'm measuring to. I'm basically dropping my marker very close to Oak Glade Drive, which isn't even the nearest street to the fire. Technically, Canyon Boulevard is even closer, as is Ridgeside Drive. But I thought Oak Glade Drive is kind of a nice in-between point. So that's what I've been measuring to, and that's where we're getting that distance of about 800 to 900 feet. And that, again, that is the proximity of the nearest flames to the nearest homes here in the Monrovia Canyon. Yeah, probably. And for all of you who continue to watch us online, we of course thank you for your viewership. We're still over the Bobcat fire that has burned now almost 42,000 acres in the forest and is 3% contained, with just short of 1,200 firefighters on scene. And the fire is burning close to homes. At this point, no homes have been lost or damaged as far as we know. But this is definitely the closest that we have seen the fire get over the last few days. Now, we're just going to catch our breath here for the next few minutes, and we hope you can tune in to the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock. We hope to see you then. I'm Leon Marino, News Chopper 4 Alpha, along with my pilot, Sarah Garabetian. Thank you, and we'll see you at 11. Ten four, Jamie, thank you. for Eva. Copy. 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 We do, Colleen. We have a unique measuring tool up here in News Chopper 4 Alpha that allows us to measure the distance from the flames to the homes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a marker where the flames are and drop it over to where Hetty is. That's going to be just off of Oak Glade Drive, rather. And you can see that the distance that we were measuring earlier has now dropped to several hundred feet. Earlier today, we were looking at a distance of at least a third of a mile, and as you can see from our tool, that is now down to about anywhere from 800 to 900 feet. Now, as Hetty was mentioning, this is a backfire, so the expectation is that these flames will meet up with the current Bobcat fire and extinguish itself, but of course, those residents that are at the foot of the hill are nervously looking up at those flames. That's the latest from over the Bobcat fire in News Chopper 4 Alpha. Back to you in the studio. For pics, cool, thank you. Thank you, Freva. Let me call Jack, Sarah.